The information provided on this podcast is intended for general informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While we discuss topics related to vegan health, diet, and fitness, always consult with a qualified healthcare provider or registered dietitian before making any changes to your diet, fitness routine, or lifestyle, especially if you have existing health conditions.
Welcome to Good Vegan Meal, the podcast for lifelong vegans, people wanting to become vegan, or those interested in vegan living. We're here to make your lives better by giving you the information you need to succeed in your compassionate vegan lifestyle.
We often hear about the latest food trends, don't we? New diets, new ingredients.
Lots of time.
Yeah, new ways of eating that pop up and then, seemingly vanish. It's easy to think of food as constantly evolving, but sometimes what feels incredibly modern actually has deep, ancient roots.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something often seen as pretty recent plant-based eating. But, our sources, they reveal a story far, far older and much more global than you might ever imagine.
That's precisely it. We've pulled together a really fascinating stack of articles, cultural analyses, historical texts, stuff that traces these diets back millennia across continents.
Wow.
Our mission really in this deep dive is to uncover the incredible reasons why so many diverse cultures embrace this way of eating and what surprising, honestly delicious traditions they've created.
Okay, so get ready for some genuine aha moments. I think this will completely reframe your understanding of food history and, frankly, what it even means to eat plant-based. So let's start by, challenging a common assumption. You often hear that humans have always eaten meat, right? That our bodies are just designed for it. But what do anthropologists and historians actually say about our earliest diets?
Well, yeah, that's a common idea. But while the precise timeline is still debated, the strong consensus among historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, it's that early human populations didn't always consume huge amounts of animal products.
Right.
The bulk of their calories likely came from plant sources. Things like leafy greens, sweet grasses, nuts, seeds, tubers, berries, roots, fruits.
The stuff you gather.
Exactly. Meat, insects, fish.
Mm-hmm.
They were certainly part of the diet, yeah, but often a much smaller, maybe supplementary portion.
And the timeline for this goes back surprisingly far. We're talking like established traditions.
Oh, yeah. Stretching back over 9,000 years.
9,000 years.
Indeed. The earliest potential evidence for what we might call vegetarianism dates to around 7,000 BCE.
Wow. Where was that?
In Mehrgar, an Indus River civilization. And it's important to remember, back then, vegetarian often covered what we now maybe call vegan.
How so?
Well, for instance, the Greeks referred to it as abstinence from beings with a soul. That really speaks to the ethical depth, doesn't it?
Abstinence from beings with a soul. That is a powerful phrase. So, okay, if it wasn't always about maximizing meat intake, what were the big forces shaping these early plant-based ways of eating? It wasn't just personal preference, was it?
No, not at all. Not usually.
Yeah.
One huge factor was purely economic.
Okay.
Historically, getting animal products was just way more expensive and resource-intensive than growing plants. Think about it. Hunting is risky. Raising livestock needs land, water, time, big investments.
Right. Makes sense.
So for many people, especially, rural populations, plant-based eating was just an economic necessity. It was the most efficient, the most reliable way to feed themselves.
So meat becomes a luxury.
Exactly. Often a status symbol for the wealthy, precisely because it was costly and scarce.
So it was often the practical default diet for most people, but you mentioned other drivers. Beyond just necessity, these traditions were often rooted in some profound belief systems, right?
Absolutely. Religion is a massive driver here.
Yeah.
So many world religions prescribe, or at least strongly encourage, some level of plant-based eating.
Like which ones?
Well, take the core concept of ahimsa.
Ahimsa, right? Nonviolence.
Yes, kindness and nonviolence towards all living things. This principle is deeply embedded in Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism.
So this idea of nonviolence was a really foundational ethical driver across these, quite different spiritual paths.
Precisely. The Bhagavad Gita, a key Hindu text, it says, "One is dearest to God who has no enemies among the living beings, who is nonviolent to all creatures." And the Manu-Zusi, an ancient text, warns really powerfully, "There is no greater sinner than that man who seeks to increase the bulk of his own flesh by the flesh of other beings."
Strong words.
Very. And for Jainism, which has teachers dating way back to 877 BCE, Ahimsa is applied to all living things, even plants in some interpretations.
Even plants. How does that work?
While strict Jains might avoid root vegetables, potatoes, onions, garlic, because tiny organisms can be injured when you pull the plant up, and the bulb itself is seen as a living being. It's just an incredible depth of compassion.
That's a level of consideration you don't often encounter.
It really is. And this nonviolence principle also profoundly influenced Buddhism. The first precept, for example, is explicitly about not taking a life.
Okay.
You see this reflected in practices like Shojin Ryori, devotion cuisine, developed by Zen Buddhist monks in Japan. It really emphasizes seasonal ingredients, minimizing waste.
Right, I've heard of that.
And there's even historical records, like the Japanese Emperor Tenmu, banning livestock consumption because of Buddhist influence.
Okay, so strong roots in Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism. But this isn't purely an Eastern phenomenon, is it?
No, not at all. Think about Christianity. Ethiopian and Eritrean cuisine, for example, is just full of naturally plant-based dishes.
Why is that?
It's largely due to the Orthodox Christian tradition of abstaining from animal products for, get this, around 200 days each year.
200 days.
Yeah, including every Wednesday and Friday, Lent, other holidays. It's so ingrained that butcher shops might actually close on fasting days. And restaurants often switch to purely plant-based menus.
Wow.
And Catholics also traditionally skip meat on Fridays and during Lent. Even looking way back to ancient Egypt, veganism seems to have been rooted in religious beliefs.
Really? Egypt?
They revered animals as sacred, believing mistreating them upset Ma'at, their concept of truth, balance, order. There's even a pharaoh, Akhenaten, a pacifist king, who banned animal sacrifice entirely. He offered only fruits of the earth on altars.
That's incredible. It really challenges the, pyramids and pharaohs image we often have.
It does. And even in Judaism, while there are many traditional meat dishes, the dietary laws, kashrut, include the strict separation of meat and dairy. Plant-based foods are Pariv neutral, and there's a story in the book of Daniel, Old Testament, where Daniel chooses only vegetables and water over the king's rich food for 10 days. And he appears healthier afterwards. It's an early narrative nod to the benefits.
What's genuinely fascinating here is how these deep ethical and spiritual ideas weren't just confined to religious doctrines. Ancient philosophers were also making really compelling cases for plant-based diets.
Absolutely. Think of Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher, 570 to 495 BCE.
The triangle guy.
The very same. He taught that all animals have immortal souls, and he believed killing them actually sullied the human soul. He even argued meat eating was unhealthy and could lead to war. He was basically an incredibly early campaigner for ethical vegetarianism.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
And Plato, too. In the Republic, his character Socrates argues against animal consumption. For ethical reasons, disease prevention, even preventing human strife. Plato wrote, "The gods created certain kinds of being to replenish our bodies. They are the trees and the plants and the seeds."
A clear endorsement.
Pretty direct. Then later, around 46 CE, Plutarch argued from an anatomical perspective. He basically said humans lack the claws and fangs needed for a carnivorous diet.
For the biological argument.
Exactly. And maybe most intriguingly, Porphyry, a philosopher from around 234 to 305 CE, wrote a whole text called On Abstinence from Beings with a Soul.
Okay.
He argued that meat eating encouraged violence and that justice should be extended to animals. But here's the really interesting bit. His text includes an argument, one he actually rejected, but he included it, that one shouldn't use milk, wool, honey.
Why not?
Because these things also injure animals in some way.
Wait, so he was documenting an argument against all animal products, not just meat, way back then.
Precisely. It suggests a really sophisticated ethical discussion about animal products beyond just flesh, happening almost 2 millennia ago.
It's genuinely fascinating. These debates we think are so modern. They have such deep roots.
It really does show you these aren't new questions.
So, okay, it's clear these deep-seated beliefs from economic necessity right through to profound philosophy didn't just stay in ancient texts. They really blossomed into incredibly diverse and I bet delicious culinary traditions around the globe. What does this all mean for the food on our plates today?
Well, the first thing is the idea that plant-based eating is somehow limited or bland. It's just completely wrong. These cultures show immense creativity, real ingenuity, turning simple plant ingredients into vibrant, satisfying meals.
Yeah.
Let's maybe take a quick culinary tour.
Yes, please.
Okay, start with India. Obvious place to start, maybe.
Okay.
Over 400 million vegetarians. It has the lowest rate of meat consumption globally.
Huge number.
It really is.
Yeah.
And its diverse regional cuisines offer just countless vegan-friendly options. Fragrant curries, savory snacks, Dals, lentil stews, sabzi, which is vegetable curry, roti, often naturally vegan.
And ancient dishes, too.
Oh yeah, a classic comfort food is khichdi. It's rice cooked with moong dal and spices, often with vegetables added. It's so old it was mentioned by Ibn Battuta back in the 12th century.
Incredible history.
Then there's Ethiopia and Eritrea. We mentioned the fasting. But beyond that, their cuisine is just celebrated for naturally plant-based dishes, like injera.
The spongy bread.
That's the one. Made from teff, this tiny iron-rich grain. And it's served with flavorful wat stews made from chickpeas, lentils, vegetables. Like Monsieur Wat, a spicy red lentil stew with that amazing Berber spice blend.
I love Ethiopian food.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Now let's jump across the ocean. In the Caribbean, we find Jamaican idol food.
Idol. From the Rastafari movement.
Exactly. Developed in the 1930s. Idol emphasizes food that's natural, organic, unprocessed, free of additives, chemicals, and, crucially, meat. It's all about food from the land.
Like what?
Things like callaloo, which is a leafy green, pumpkin stews, red pea loaf that's kidney bean loaf, and lots of tropical fruits, mango, avocado, passion fruit, central to the diet.
Sounds vibrant.
It is. And back to the Mediterranean region, specifically Israel. You might be surprised it boasts one of the highest percentages of vegans globally. Around 5.2% vegan, 13% vegetarian.
Really?
That high. Yeah. Staples like hummus and falafel are just everywhere, obviously.
Really?
But even big global brands offer multiple vegan options there, specifically because the demand is so strong.
That's a fascinating statistic. Shows how culture can really shift.
Absolutely. Now, go east to Japan. We mentioned Shojin Ryori, the Buddhist devotion cuisine. That focuses entirely on seasonal vegetables, tofu, miso-based broths. Pure, simple, elegant. And then there's the island of Okinawa, famously one of the world's blue zones, right? Highest population of centenarians.
Right, people living over 100.
Exactly. Their traditional diet, mostly purple Okinawan sweet potatoes, some rice, and lightly processed soy products like tofu. Very plant-forward.
Interesting link there.
And even the classic Mediterranean diet, which everyone agrees is healthy. It's primarily plant-based. Leafy greens, legumes, nuts, fruits, whole grains.
We forget that sometimes.
We do.
Yeah.
And there are those historical links, the Pythagorean diet we talked about, fasting days in Catholic and Greek Orthodox faiths, key dishes like falafel, those delicious fried patties of chickpeas, herbs, spices.
Can't beat good falafel.
Nope. And hummus, of course. Stuffed grape leaves, tabbouleh, loads of naturally plant-based options.
It's incredible how many cuisines just have these accidentally vegan traditional dishes. Like they just happen to be plant-based and super flavorful without needing a special label.
So true. Let's revisit ancient Egypt. They gave us iconic vegan dishes like kosheri.
Kosheri. Love kosheri.
That hearty mix of rice, lentils, pasta, spicy tomato sauce, crispy onions, pure comfort food. Then there's fulmadams, cooked fava beans with garlic, lemon, olive oil, and tamaya, which is the Egyptian style of falafel, made with fava beans instead of chickpeas. In Pakistan, dal, the lentil soup, is a huge favorite. You find it everywhere. Lots of Pakistani curries and street food chits are naturally vegan too, but you do have to remember to ask about ghee, the clarified butter.
Good tip.
Armenia is kind of a hidden gem for vegans, often by accident. Many traditional dishes are just naturally plant-based, like lavash bread, simple, ancient, just salt, flour, water. Then there's basuk, dolma cabbage leaves wrapped around chickpeas, rice, herbs. And zingyalov hats, this amazing flatbread stuffed with literally dozens of different green herbs. Plus, the natural taste of Armenian fruits and vegetables is apparently legendary.
Sounds incredible.
For Portugal, common accidentally vegan soups include sopa de legumes, just vegetable soup, and caldo verde, that traditional potato and dark leafy green soup. Just remember to ask for it without the chorizo sausage.
Okay.
And here's a fun one, pichinos da horta. It translates to little fish from the garden.
Little fish.
Yeah, but they're actually battered and fried green beans. You just need to check the batter doesn't contain eggs.
Clever name.
Isn't it? In Sri Lanka, peripu curry, made with red lentils, coconut milk, spices, it's served at almost every single meal. A true national staple.
Coconut milk and lentils. Nice combo.
Definitely. Indonesia gives us gado-gado. Fantastic dish, fresh veggies covered in this rich, thick peanut sauce, often topped with tofu or tempeh.
Love peanut sauce.
Me too. And finally, let's hop over to Costa Rica. Gallo pinto, rice and beans. It's a household staple there.
Simple but good.
Oh yeah. Cooked with peppers, onion, garlic, red peppers, then topped with Lozano salsa and fresh cilantro. It's delicious any time of day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Okay, I'm officially hungry now.
Huh, me too.
So it really turns out our ancestors were crafting these incredible plant-based meals long before veganism was even a word. What does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, far from being some niche diet or a modern trend, plant-based eating is clearly this powerful, global, and deeply ancient legacy. Yeah, it's really a testament to human ingenuity, isn't it? Creating incredibly flavorful, nutritious, sustainable meals from the Earth's bounty. In this long history, it also shows that sustainable, delicious, culturally rich eating doesn't always mean finding new things. Often it's about rediscovering ancient wisdom. And it was often driven by these deep principles: compassion, balance, or just simple economic necessity. The sheer diversity we've just touched on shows it's anything but limited or bland.
Exactly. And it's worth remembering, you don't need to go 100% plant-based to make a positive impact. Even just, say, having your meat and dairy consumption can make a huge difference for our climate, for biodiversity. And honestly, it opens up a whole new world of flavors to explore.
This deep dive really does reveal such a rich tapestry of history and flavor woven right into our global food heritage. It's all just waiting there to be explored and enjoyed.
So, for your final thought today, maybe consider this. How might connecting with these ancient traditions, these vibrant global flavors, how might that inspire your approach to eating maybe just a little bit more closer to the earth in your own life?
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of Good Vegan Meal. If you loved what you heard and you're hungry for more, head over to our link tree at linktr.ee/goodveganmeal. There you can grab our free PDF 30 high-protein vegan 5-minute meals packed with quick recipes and full nutritional stats for every meal. Perfect for busy days and plant-powered gains. And if you're ready to take your vegan cooking game to the next level, check out our cookbook's 125-minute vegan meals for kids' lunches, a school lunchbox lifesaver, 185-minute vegan meals, and 7 weeks of high-protein meals with meal planning made simple with grocery lists for each week. Grab your goodies at linktr.ee/goodveganmeal, and we'll see you in the next episode.